to the third of the ImageFast SharePoint webinar series. The third webinar is on SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search. So thank you for taking time out to join us. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping rules. You'll see on the right-hand side an Q&A panel. Please put any questions that you have in there. I've got everyone on mute, so I won't be able to hear your questions, but I'll be able to pick them up through the Q&A panel. Okay, let's get started. Quick agenda. Quick introduction to who we are here at ImageFast. I'm going to take you through an overview of SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search, focusing on what's new in Enterprise Search in SharePoint 2013. We're going to have a look at some of the features, including search query rules. And then I'm going to take you through a quick introduction to Ontolica Preview from one of our partners, Surfray. Ontolica Preview is a search add-on for SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search. And we'll take a quick look at a case study for SharePoint 2013 and Ontolica Preview together. So a quick introduction to who we are. We're a technology and consulting organization founded back in 1997, focused on providing ECM and document management solutions to our clients. We're based in London, right in the heart of London, in the city. We're a Microsoft Gold certified partner with a dedicated SharePoint practice and support function, and we provide solutions to capture, control, and communicate content and documentation within your enterprise. You can see some examples of some of our clients there on the right-hand side of this slide, and also, obviously, we're a partner, a Microsoft Gold certified partner, and we're also a partner with our Surfray as well, which we'll be looking at in this presentation. So a bit more about some of our other partners. I won't go through all of these in detail in this presentation, but if you look at the SharePoint stack there, we'll be focusing and having a quick look at the Ontolica add-on for SharePoint as mentioned earlier today as well. So some examples of some of the SharePoint solutions that we deliver. Again, won't go through all of these in details. If you've been on our previous webinars in this series, you'll have heard me talk about some of these before. But today we'll be focusing on what we do around enterprise search. So a quick overview then of SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search. This Enterprise Search through SharePoint 2013 provides the ability for you to allow your end users, your employees, your staff, your partners, whoever has access to your SharePoint environment, to search for and access business data, content, documentation, all from one place through a centralized search function. So what you're seeing here is a capture of a search center site where we could search for and access content from SharePoint, exchange public folders, network file shares, CRM and ERP data, for example, federated websites that support the open search protocol, other line of business systems, and we can also do people search, all from the one search center site through SharePoint 2013. So what's new in SharePoint 2013 search? The short answer is an awful lot, but as a highlight, the big news is that fast search is now integrated with SharePoint 2013 right out of the box. So back in late 2008, 2009, Microsoft acquired the Fast Search company. It was provided with SharePoint 2010 as a separate product, which required separate hardware to install and separate licensing and so on and so forth. That technology is all wrapped up and baked into SharePoint 2013 server right out of the box. So what does it provide us? Well, a number of things: type-ahead search and search query suggestions. We've got new ranking models that improve our search results. It's easier to customize search results through things like query rules and display templates. We've also got the new content search web part. From the back end, there's this new continuous crawling capability. So essentially, content is, as the name suggests, continuously crawled rather than having to set full or incremental crawl schedules up. Content can be crawled as it hits SharePoint, so it's more readily accessible through the search functionality to your end users. There's the introduction of the hover preview panel for search results, so we'll have a look at that. So in this short webinar, we really don't have time to cover everything that's new in SharePoint 2013 search, but what we will do is kind of focus on some of the features that you've seen highlighted here. So before we get get started in any detail on that, let's have a quick look at what the SharePoint 2013 search result page looks like. So here's a kind of generic out-of-the-box example. And if we kind of break down what's on the page here, we see on the left-hand side we've got our refinement panel. So this allows us to very easily refine the search results that we see. If we've done quite a generic search, we may have a large number of results returned. So being able to quickly click on refiners to reduce the number of results in our results page is very useful. With 2013, you've got the introduction of kind of graphical refiners, which you can see on the bottom there. The modified refiner is a slider. These are very easily customizable and can be customized to deliver refiners that meet your specific enterprise content. In the middle of the page, we see the actual search results themselves, and also at the top of the page there, we've got our search query box and the scope of where our search is targeted. So here you can see we've done a search for green thermal against everything, and we could refine that to people, videos, conversations, so on and so forth. On the right-hand side, we get the actual document preview itself, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And below that, we've got the document information panel as well. So just a quick kind of overview of how the search, a default search results page looks like with SharePoint 2013. This, of course, can be completely customized. So I mentioned the document preview panel there. There are some limitations to this. Firstly, it only supports Microsoft Office file formats, so no PDF support with the document preview panel. And it also requires Microsoft Office web apps to be installed. Now, unlike SharePoint 2010, where this was a service application, it's now a separate product. It's been detached from SharePoint. So if document previews is something you're interested in, you'd need, leveraging the out-of-the-box capabilities. You'd need to look at procuring Microsoft Office web apps, installing that. But of course, keep in mind, it's only going to provide preview for Office file formats. Another couple of things, there's no search hit highlighting, and this preview capability is only available in Search Center sites. So when we get to Ontolica, we'll kind of look at how Ontolica Preview can help us get around some of these limitations. But before we get there, let's have a quick look at another new capability in SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search, which is the Content Search web part. So the best way to give an overview of this is to provide a scenario. So Content Search web part provides a way to essentially use search as a publishing tool. So what we may have is in our SharePoint estate a couple of site collections. So you can see here I've got site collection A and site collection B, which may contain, obviously lots of different types of content. Now, back in SharePoint 2013, we had a good old friend, the Content Query web part, which would allow us to put a web part on the page and query the content that we've got in the site collection and then display that on the page. But it was limited to just the site collection. We were adding the content query web part too. So in site collection A, I'd only be able to display content from site collection A. I wouldn't be able to display content that was in site collection B. So the content search web part is a way of addressing that. So what happens is we've already configured search to crawl and index the content of both of these site collections. So here we've got our search index, it's available to us, and then we may provision a new site page, add the content search web part, and then essentially we're leveraging search to display the content from site collection A and site collection B in the one single content search web part. So very, very powerful way of delivering content, throughout the SharePoint farm in a single page through a single web part. How does it actually work? Well, there's a very high level. The content search web part is made up of two components. We've got the query builder, so what is it we actually want to see, and then the display template, which is how do we want to see it. So if we take a quick look there at the query builder, just to give you an example of how this might look. So I've added the web part to a page here. I've gone in to build the query, so just to zoom in on that a little bit. What you can see here is I've not results by any application, and as a result, I get instant preview as to where my results will come from. So you can see on the right-hand side here, I've got home and PR are both coming out of the portal, site collections, images library, and then I've got home and PR coming from a completely different site collection, a different web application. So very, very powerful way of presenting content from across the SharePoint farm. Let's look at the search query rules then, so moving very quickly on. Search query rules really allow us to easily tune search results based on the intent of the query. So for example, we may have our users search for expense claims and decide, well, when a user searches for that term, uses that term in a search, what we should do is really promote content from our HR site, such as employee policies and procedures and forms that relate to submitting an expense claim. Or a user searches for invoice query, that should promote documents where the content type is invoice from across the SharePoint farm. So query rules are really a way of very easily deciding on how we present results to the end user. So query rules are composed of three components. We've got the condition, so when do we apply the rule? The action, so what to do when the rule is matched, and publishing, when should this rule be active? Now, unlike, just quickly, just to kind of explain on this, with query rules, we can configure query rules at different levels. So we've got the central administration, at the site collection, and at the site level. We can also, this is obviously, these three examples here are based on SharePoint 2013 in an on-premise scenario. In an Office 365 scenario, we can configure query rules at the tenant level as well. So let's have a quick look at this. So unlike some of these previous webinars, I'm actually going to do a quick demonstration of this here today. Jump into SharePoint. So I've got a very simple SharePoint site set up here, and if I go into portal and just open up my search site, so this is a very, very out-of-the-box SharePoint 2013 Enterprise Search Center site, and if I do a search for the word SharePoint, I'm going to get back some content, and you can see here I don't have Office Web Apps installed, but just as I showed in the slide, I've got my document information panel. When I hover over a document result, I've got my refiners on the left, obviously my search results right here in the center. If we scroll down, I can see how many pages of results I've got, and I can start refining and so on and so forth. So that's great, but maybe I want to add a query rule that says when someone searches for the word SharePoint, I want to promote to the top of the page in the results list white papers around SharePoint. So just using that as an example. So if we come over to the site collection, let's do this from the beginning. So I'll simply go at that site collection level, site actions, site settings, and here under site collection administration I've got search query rules, and I want to add a new query rule. So before we do that, we've got to select a result source. So what I'm interested in doing is applying this rule when someone does a search against all SharePoint results. So now we'll add a new rule, and I'll call this rule SharePoint white papers. So I've got some options here. This is the conditions, as we talked about. So what are the conditions where this rule should be run? So when a query matches a keyword exactly, so keep this simple. So let's say SharePoint white paper. I can separate the keywords with a semicolon. I'll leave that, keep it simple for now. And the action is I want to add a promoted result. So my promoted result is going to be marketing documents. And the URL for my marketing documents is I've got a document library here. I just simply need to grab that URL, put it in here, And I can also add a description, so SharePoint white papers from the ImageFast marketing document library. Save. So that's my promoted result, and if we look at publishing, it's active now. What I could do is set some publishing dates and review dates and so on. Well, I'm happy for that, so I'll save that. And the great thing about these query rules is it's instant. So now if I come back to my Search Center site and rerun exactly the same results, what you'll see here, the query rule has found a match, so there's an action. It's one of those query terms has been matched, so SharePoint, and it said, yep, you need to see marketing documents, so here's your link right to the marketing documents. So bit whistle stop, very quick, but just useful to show how easy it is to set up a query rule to promote a set of results based on a query term. Okay. So moving on then, let's go back to our document preview scenario. So I mentioned earlier that with SharePoint 2013 you need Microsoft Office web apps to support the document preview capability. You also need it's a separate license, separate install, and it will only support Microsoft Office documents, so no PDF. So we, one of our partners is Surfray, who have a product called Ontolica Preview, and Ontolica Preview for SharePoint supports over 500 file formats for preview capabilities. So, you know, immediately, even simple things like bringing up PDFs, but perhaps, you know, flash image files, movie files, TIFFs, so on and so forth, we can instantly provide preview capabilities to a much broader range of file formats. What does it look like? One of the things we can do with Ontolica Preview is add preview capabilities to SharePoint document libraries. So you can see here we've got a document library, and the preview thumbnails are shown right in the document library itself, but we'll take a quick look at that. We can also provide highlighting of search query terms right within the document. So here someone searched for the word citrix, they've hovered over, looked at the preview, and can see immediately where their search query term matches in the document, which is very powerful because obviously out of the box you would run a search, get your results, open up your results set, and need to rerun your search within the document that you've opened to see where there's a match. So highlighting really streamlines that whole process. Ontolica Preview also allows us to provide search document preview on externally held content. So obviously all of our content stored within SharePoint we can provide the preview capabilities for, but also content stored in network file shares, federated websites, and maybe even external databases. Additionally, we've got enhanced multi-select refiners. So on the left there you can see PDF, Word, and PowerPoint has been selected by the end user. Out of the box, if I selected PDF, that would be it. I would just see PDFs. If I wanted to see Word documents, I'd have to unselect PDFs and reselect Word. With Ontolica Preview, I have the ability to select all three file formats. So again, bit whistle stop, but I thought what we'd do is take a quick look at this. So we have a cloud share environment where we've got Ontolica Preview installed on a virtual machine. So this is a Search Center site with the Ontolica Preview web parts installed. So again, if I just do a fairly simple and broad search for the word SharePoint, I get some results back, and here you can see the results look slightly different. I've got my refinement panel on the left where I can do it exactly as I would do out of the box with SharePoint. But here, if I take this top document, which is the overview of shredded storage in SharePoint 2013, that's great, but I've got this option to show the document preview. So now we can configure this in different ways and in terms of how the preview is shown. So this is just how I've set it up for the purposes of today's webinar. And look, you can see there's a nice thumbnail image of each page within this, what have we got, 24-page document. So I can highlight, just hover, and if I want to see in a little bit more detail, I can actually click on that, and I get to see where my search query is highlighted within the document. So it really streamlines the process of me as an end user looking for content I need that's relevant to what I'm trying to do for my job. Now, this is a 24-page document. Okay, I've done a fairly broad search here looking for SharePoint. I've got this document that talks about shredded storage in SharePoint. So what if I want to kind of know a bit more about shredded storage as it relates to, you know, remote blobs? So what Ontolica Preview does is provide an additional search capability that's now going to just target that document without actually affecting the rest of the search results page that I'm looking at. So I've done my additional search here, and what's happening is Ontolica Preview is analyzing the document. It's saying, look, of the 24 pages, here's the 4 most relevant. So I can just immediately look at page 13, and you see where I've referenced remote and blobs and so on and so forth. So very powerful way of, again, just refining search results down very, very quickly, very, very easily. If I run the same search here, just to show you another iteration of this, one of the other great things that we can do with Ontolica Preview is very easily provide a link or jump back to the source where this document lives. So I've got this shredded storage document, which is great, but you know, maybe there's other content in that document library where this is stored. Out of the box, it's not very easy to, you know, find out where that document is. Here, we've got a very easy link right back to that document location. So, yeah, very, very, again, easy way of streamlining how we actually search for and access content. And if I look at this document library here, just finally, you can see we've added Ontolica Preview here. So if, again, I look here, I've got this ability to actually provide the preview capabilities right within the context of the document library, and, you know, do a search simply within that document rather than just within the document, the entire document library. So again, very quick overview here. Obviously, we've only got a limited time in the webinar, but just to give you a quick sense of what Ontolica Preview looks like. Okay, and just summarizing here then, just thought it would be useful to give you a sense of how Ontolica Preview and SharePoint Enterprise Search work together for one of our actual clients. So this is one of our clients, specialist global insurance company. They operate out of London, a London head office, but also have branch operations in Australia and South Africa, and operate through underwrite business insurance through a Lloyd's syndicate. Roughly 200 end users, but their SharePoint environment also includes access for end users in external partner companies, so kind of a wider user base overall. And they have 2 million policy documents, 2 million or so policy documents stored in multiple document repositories. One of the issues that they had was time to access content. So before we actually implemented SharePoint 2013 for this particular client, you know, their core business users, which are underwriters and claims handlers, spent a lot of time searching for content, you know, in legacy document management solutions, content repositories in SharePoint 2007 and 2010, as well as network file shares. And then they also had partners coming in and searching for content in SharePoint as well. So each of these applications had their own unique search capabilities, which took time to find content. So what we've done is streamline that by migrating everything that's held in SharePoint 2010 and 2007 to SharePoint 2013, and all end users now access and search for content through SharePoint, leveraging Ontolica. So again, the document preview capability, we've already sort of looked at that. You can see it there. So what does the return on investment look like for them, leveraging SharePoint 2013 and Ontolica? So if you look at the client's 200 or so employees, they're spending an average of 19–20% of their time searching for and gathering information. So it's approximately a day a week just, you know, just looking for content to do their jobs. If you base that on an average salary of £35,000 a year, their business was spending £1.3 million per year just paying employees to look for information. So, you know, a lot of money, even on a fairly small user base. So the implementation of Ontolica Preview and SharePoint 2013 together to provide a unified search solution will bring in an estimated 20% improvement in search, which equates to around £265,000 a year saving to the business. Which is significantly, yes, the cost of implementing the solution is significantly less than the saving even in 1 year. So hopefully that was obviously a very quick but hopefully informative introduction to SharePoint 2013 Search, covering off some of the new capabilities, looking at the content search web part and the ability to promote queries, search results, and so on. Also having a look at Ontolica Preview. If enterprise search is something of interest to you, we would like to offer a free 2 to 3 hour consultation where we'll come in and look at the content that you've got in your enterprise today and how you're currently searching for it and accessing it, or how your end users are, and kind of give you an overview and a more detailed demonstration of SharePoint 2013's enterprise search capability, and also kind of show you how that may work in your own environment. We of course have white papers which are available on our website, so please join us for our next webinar, which is on Thursday, May 1st at 11:30 a.m., where we'll be looking at SharePoint 2013 email management through MacReview. So if there's any questions, please fire away. If not, I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you for joining.